Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Only Stupid Answers. This is a show where we answer your questions about movies, TV shows, comic books, and recasting. I was like, wow. I was like, what are we talking about today? What is happening in this episode? This episode,
all things.
we are talking about Jason Momoa being recast from Aquaman to Lobo, and what other DCEU actors could come from the previous iteration of the DCEU into the new one. I'm your host, DJ Woldridge. With me, as always, is Roxy Stryer.
What's up, DJ?
What's up? Well, listen, plenty is up. First off, we're going to respond to some comments from the previous video. I wanted to start with one coming from my other channel, DJ Talks Trash. Sal and I do a show called Krypton Academy. We're talking about Superman movies. We did the 1984 film Supergirl, and we had this comment just out of Frame Movie Review 656 says, "Rip director Jenna Swark." Now, that is the director of Supergirl. He apparently died the day we did the episode. This is the only thing. The other thing that makes this noteworthy is I dropped our Slashback episode talking about Black Christmas. 2 days after that dropped, Olivia Hussey, the lead actress in that, died. And so now I'm starting to wonder, is my channel cursed?
DJ, let me tell you, there was a time period where I was interviewing actors, and I'm going to say it was like 5 or 6 in a row, the news reported like their last known interview was, and it was my interview. And I was like, I have to stop interviewing people that I love. It was like Florence Henderson, Alan Thicke. It was like all of these, David Cassidy. It happened multiple times in a row. And I was like, I can't interview anybody over the age of 30 that I love.
Yeah. It was just, I was like, wait, are you serious? So anyway, R.I.P. Jenna Swark also directed Jaws 2, Out of Time. Is that the name of the movie? It's the Christopher Reeve time travel movie. We also got, so now going back to our videos, last week we talked about Squid Game. Alan Payne 927 says, did Roxy forget in season 1 they were able to vote and go home, and they actually went home, but life was so bad they decided to go back in the games. And now, in Roxy's defense, DJ also forgot this plot point. And in both of our defense, it was 3 years since that season, so cut us a little bit of slack on that.
But they didn't vote every round.
No, they didn't vote every round, but they did. Right. Now, once he mentioned, I'm like, that's right. They voted and they went home, and then they decided to play a game again. That was a plot point, and it's wild that I completely forgot it. I totally forgot it. But again, in our defense,
the difference in this one was that after every round you're allowed, which maybe was the intention of the first one also.
But because they left and came back, they took it away. Whatever. My point is, when you release a full season all at once and then wait 3 years for the next season, I'm going to forget some things. All right, that's my point.
Well, but that's good, because my question was, I wonder if they would have actually let them leave.
Yeah.
But obviously we don't trust them. So I do think it's very likely that it was a game.
Yeah. Well, and
who knows?
Yeah. And even then you could talk about them going home still being part of the game because they all came back anyway.
Yeah. Good reminder. Thank you.
The Ram1231 says player 001 is left-handed. He screwed up on purpose by tossing with his right hand and nailed it when he did it with the left hand, talking about the top sequence.
Right, but why did he nail it?
Yeah. So, and also, I'm just taking this comment at his word. I did not go back and see that he was left-handed and he was using his right hand or whatever. But
I just don't know why he wanted to keep them alive,
or why he was. That actor is good, so therefore that character's acting is good when he's like flipping out about it. And I guess in my head canon, it's just more. I like the interpretation that he wanted to be in the game, and then he starts fucking it up. It's like, oh wait, this sucks. I've made a mistake. Also, if you want to watch the show live, ad free, check out Patreon exclusive shows like what we're into, Mutant Academy, stuff like that. You can do that over at patreon.com/onlystupidanswers. And before I got on the news on our main topic, I did want to check in with Roxy to update us on, not necessarily that you can if you have the information, the LA fires generally, but your experience with them.
Yeah, so just a little state of the union right now.
Yeah.
The Eaton fires are more contained than they are not. That's the fires in Altadena, Pasadena, with 65% containment.
Oh, good.
The Palisades fires, which are the ones that I'm closer to, are at 31% containment, which is, of course, the highest that they've been contained so far, which is significantly better than what it has been at, which was sticking around that 11 to 18% range.
Yeah.
So it does feel like we are, for lack of better words, trending in the right direction, where the devastation of the fires is going to become dying down. And now we're going to be dealing with what is left.
Yeah.
Unless barring the winds pick up again, which they are supposed to do.
Great.
So, I think that Los Angeles is in for a very long haul with this. I think it's going to affect every area of the city. The heart of the city is the entertainment industry. So, of course, the entertainment industry is going to be affected by this. I don't know if you saw yesterday, DJ, that our dude, Donald Trump, what a sentence, appointed 3 ambassadors to Hollywood.
I did see this.
Sylvester Stallone, Mel Gibson, and John Voight. Because the diversity is the spice of life.
I was bummed. Wait. It was
about Sly.
Sly. That was the one that.
It's a bummer.
Because what was it was you just said the names.
Mel Gibson, John Voight.
Yeah,
and Sly.
the first 2 don't surprise me. Sly unfortunately doesn't surprise me, but it does bum me out.
Me too. And you never know. Maybe that's a good one for. I don't know. I've been a massive diehard fan of his my whole life.
Yeah.
One time I had dinner with him. It's like not just the 2 of us, obviously. It was at a party. His wife and kids were there. They're incredible. I have so he's just a huge hero of mine.
Yeah.
So, and he was lovely in person. That doesn't mean that I know where his heart is on any of these issues.
Exactly.
And him sitting next to Mel Gibson and John Voight does not bode well. But I will say that their position is to try to bring lost business back to Hollywood. Do I think that they're the trio to do it? No, I don't. But I will say that there is Hollywood is in trouble right now.
Yeah.
And without the benefits, for a little sneak behind the curtain for you guys, there's no benefit in shooting anything here. You don't get a tax benefit. You don't get a tax credit the way you do in other places. And I'm talking about like in New Jersey, there's like a 30% tax credit, which means that if you are shooting $1 million movie, they will give you $300,000. It's a huge, huge credit. So unless they want to start adding credits here, they have to do something in order to bring the economy back here, because we are in a place where I'm sure DJ, your friends, my friends, people are talking about leaving the city. People are talking about whether they need to live here in the first place. People are talking about not feeling safe here because after the fires, we see how we've handled everything. And I don't mean we as in the government. I just mean it's been a disaster, a nightmare, and we've been overdue for an earthquake for some time. So,
which unfortunately part of, and this was a reminder that for me, part of the concern with earthquakes is not just the earthquake, but the fires that an earthquake could cause.
Right. Yeah. And the lack of infrastructure that we have in order to deal with these types of things.
Yeah.
So I do think that these fires are going to not only affect the individuals who have lost their lives, their family members, their homes, or partially their homes, but the entire state. And our state is big enough and this industry is big enough that it affects the entire country, which affects the entire world.
Yeah.
And so we are in like a really tough spot right now. It's been beautiful to see all these people who are volunteering. DJ sent support to my efforts on the ground, which was really lovely. And man, do they need? So far, I've raised $7,500, and it has been like looking at what I've been able to do. I'm like, I need to raise $1 million. I need to raise 10 million. I need to raise, like everybody needs something right now. So a lot of you guys at home as well have helped send in support, and I really appreciate that too. But man, we are in this for the long haul. It's really tough out there right now.
And I do think just to bring it to other people, as Roxy's touching on, this is one of many. Like a lot of my parents were in the pathway of one of them hurricanes that hit Florida, and a lot of recovery on their end, and people they know and stuff like that. So this is a bellwether. This type of thing, these type of events are a bellwether for not just when people are talking about climate change, but also infrastructure issues that our government seems to have little to no interest in addressing. They're quick to ban TikTok, though. They're really on top of that. But infrastructure stuff, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. this. I do understand, having grown up in the South and in Florida and stuff like that. I do not entirely. I do understand to some degree. I know a lot of people have been mad about it, and I get why they're mad. But I also understand that, like, if your perception of LA and Hollywood is the Oscars and the glitz and the glamour and stuff like that, some of the reticence to be like, oh, boo hoo. But obviously, it's not just that, which a lot of people have been talking about, but also it's that this is a problem. These problems are going to be affecting all of us, similar to when we were talking about the labor strikes. Labor issues are a big national issue as well. So beyond the Hollywood of it all. And beyond it being people that are being impacted, this is we as people need to start helping each other and helping address this stuff, because there seems to be a hesitance to come and help with these issues. To that end, I did want to shout out a couple things real quick. If you guys, anybody at home, either you're in the area or you want to help support, there, and I'm sure Roxy has some suggestions as well. There's the supportlafd.org, so you can help people, because again, as Roxy just pointed out, we're week 2? We're entering 2 weeks.
Yeah, we're
or whatever.
on day 11.
Yeah,
day
of
12.
these fires, and these firefighters are still going at it. So if you want to help support the firefighters that are fighting, that are risking their lives to fight these fires, you can go to supportlafd.org, which is a nonprofit that kind of helps fill in some of the funding gaps. Which is, it's embarrassing that there's funding gaps, but whatever, man. This is the world we live in. We can give cops tanks, but anyway, whatever. Sorry. Also, if you want to help, there's a lot of unhoused people that are being impacted by these fires, and there's a lot of people that were not previously unhoused that are now finding themselves unhoused. So if you want to help unhoused people in the area, there's the sidewalkproject.org. And there's also Etna Street Solidarity. If you looked up on Instagram or anything like that, they have a lot of resources to help unhoused people. That's AETNA Street Solidarity. So I recommend, these are just some that I found. Obviously, look into, you guys can look around, see what,
Those are all great ones,
Yeah.
DJ. Can I tell you who my favorite vigilantes are right now?
Yes.
The ones who are, like, there are people in Nebraska, Ohio, New York, wherever, every other place in the country right now, who are going to Los Angeles's Zillow or RadPat, any of the places, and they're checking the rent to see how much landlords have increased their rent.
Cool.
Because during a crisis, you're only allowed to increase it up to 10%.
Yeah.
And otherwise it's illegal.
Yeah.
And they're reporting them to the government, these
Great.
landlords,
Yeah.
if they're increasing more than 10%. You guys are the best vigilantes. It is disgusting. It's illegal and disgusting to price gouge during this time. And if you have the free time to go and report people who are doing that, it is so incredibly helpful to the city, because we need to make sure that now all of the unhoused people have housing.
Yeah.
And a lot of these people have children. A lot of these people have family homes that have been there in family for 50, 60 years, and they cannot rent a place at the price that they are. They will have to leave.
Yeah.
And so it is so important that these landlords don't be living pieces of shit right now. And you guys are holding them accountable, which is just the best.
Yeah, and that's another, and that's an incredible point, and also another example of how, a big part of, and I've heard people talking about this, and I am not smart enough to dive into the nitty gritty of it, but so much of our country is for gaining wealth, building generational wealth is off of property. And as we look at fires and floods and other natural disasters, what does that mean for that? Like, what is that? You know what I mean? On top of the issues that you're talking about with, like, landlords being, landlords, and those, it's a lot of stuff. And I feel like I'm stuck in a situation where, like, you're in a group project where you're with a bunch of people that are, and by people, I'm not talking about you or me or whatever, the people in charge, they're like, we'll do that later. And it's like, later's now. Later's now. We need to do it now.
Later was years ago.
Yeah.
So later has to be now. Because, like, DJ, as you know, you have a little one now.
Yeah.
And they need to be able to grow up and
Yeah.
have a future. And what we're doing to our planet and to the city, both, is not sustainable. It's just, yeah, this entire thing, and it's also DJ. This is why we need more of our money here.
Yeah.
We continue to give a lot of our money to things that you and I don't necessarily agree with, and because of that, I'm having to raise money for the firefighters.
Yes.
Because as a government, we don't have it, which is like, okay, so the firefighters are sleeping on one of the big drops that we did was for these blow up mats for these firefighters because they are sleeping on the sand and the rocks during their shift changes.
Yeah.
Because they don't have beds. What the fuck are you guys talking about?
Yeah.
What are you guys talking about?
Yeah.
Like, you can't not have a bed for 14 days and fight these fires and have nowhere to lay down. You're on the sand. Like, what are you guys talking about? What are you talking about?
And you'd hope that like between this and then prior to this COVID and then prior to this, it's like, so we need to start like preparing for these things, right? You realize
this
that
is no longer infrequent. Like you just mentioned the hurricanes.
Yeah.
There are earthquakes, tornadoes, hurricanes, floods, snowstorms, storms of all different types, tsunamis. There are so many. I don't know whether this is considered a natural disaster. I know that there are people who, when I've called it a natural disaster, they're like, except for the fact that it was lit by people. Okay, I don't know.
I'm not even going to dive into that. Yeah. I'm with you. I'm like, you know what? Whatever, man. We'll wait and see, I guess.
Sure or not sure. I don't know. But okay, fires. To me, fire is a natural disaster.
Yeah.
In that category, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is frequently occurring enough that we have to prioritize this or no one's gonna exist.
Yeah.
Okay.
So back to our entertainment show. Just stuff to keep in mind. Roxy, thank you for all the stuff that you're doing for the people in your community. And stay. Roxy's been doing a good job of keeping people updated on her posts. So follow her over there on the socials. Speaking of, that's my segue. Speaking of the socials, we're going to talk a little bit. I wasn't planning on talking about this, but it was all over my feed. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the TikTok ban. I got this from Gizmodo. The U.S. Supreme Court will allow the federal government to ban TikTok if the popular video sharing app doesn't find someone to sell itself off to. Incoming President Trump asked the Supreme Court to delay the enforcement of the law. It declined, and there's no obvious buyer for TikTok lined up. If nothing changes, the ban will start on Sunday, the day before Trump's inauguration. Biden has said he won't enforce the ban and will let Trump handle the problem. TikTok is owned by a Chinese-based company, ByteDance, and legislators successfully argued over the past few years that it was feeding vast troves of American data into servers owned by the Chinese Communist Party. In 2024, a bipartisan bill passed that would force ByteDance to sell TikTok or have it banned in U.S. shores. ByteDance fought the decision all the way to the Supreme Court, arguing that the sale was a violation of First Amendment rights of millions of Americans. It was an argument that the Supreme Court didn't find persuasive. So, if I'm understanding this correctly, an international company that has people that use its platform all over the world needs to sell itself to our country so that we're the ones sucking up all that data.
Man, this has been like the most confusing thing to keep up with. I guess the number one question people have, myself included, is TikTok going away?
Yeah.
Is it going away or not?
In 2 days.
Yeah. And it seems like the most recent thing that I've read is that Biden punted it and said, listen, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
So we'll see what Trump does.
Which I have my issues with Biden, but that's the right call. Like, I'm not going to deal with this TikTok bullshit on my last day. Get out of here.
What I wish was that, because as trivial and bullshit as this sounds, the TikTok going away, who cares? This is the livelihood for a lot of people.
Yeah.
TikTok is a lot of people's livelihood, including a lot of my friends, including people DJ knows, including our resident TikTok expert on this show, Jess Lucero, who came on and talked about TikTok. There are beautiful, great human beings who make their living off of TikTok, whether it's in entertainment news, sports journalism, whatever it is. There are doctors that make supplemental income. There are people who are putting themselves through school with TikTok.
Yeah.
TikTok is a form of revenue for people. So it's not, and it is a form of revenue for people more so than any other social media app. So that's a big problem, especially in an industry that I just was talking about is really struggling and suffering right now. Taking away more income from people is a huge issue. Not to mention us prioritizing this over people getting shot in their schools is just about to make me pull every one of my eyelashes out individually. How we care about this when we don't care about other things is just mind-bogglingly, numbingly stupid. But okay, so is it going away? So apparently we're punting to Trump. And then I guess Trump, who now has a soft spot for TikTok after hating TikTok and wanting it banned initially, now has a soft spot because he believes it's one of the reasons why he got elected. I guess he can put like a up to 90-day hold on it. And that is what people believe he's going to do. And then maybe that it gets bought in those 90 days, maybe not. His BFF Elon is talking about buying it. So I don't know the answer to it. I don't know. Is TikTok going away? Yes or no? I wish somebody could just tell us definitively. We'll see.
Well, as this develops, we should look into maybe having Jess back on to dive into this further. But I did want to touch on it. We have in the chat. You can watch live patreon.com/SuperAnswers. Leonard Kim. TikTok is a threat, but not Meta or Twitter. But see, here's the thing, Leonard. Meta, and I'm sorry, it's not Twitter, it's X, the everything app, okay, are owned by billionaire oligarchs over here. And so therefore that's okay because they help fund our little election parties that we like to do.
I mean, there's a direct correlation. If you saw how the Senate voted on this, if you saw how people voted on this, they have many of the people who voted down TikTok saying to get rid of it essentially are people who have stocks and stake in Meta. And that is how the world works. Like, it's disgusting to see, but the people making the decisions have ulterior motives, and that's so brutal.
It's to Roxy's point. I have no love in my heart for any social media platform, but TikTok. I just don't. But the fact that this was prioritized and fast tracked over literally anything else, and it's also and I don't love that one of the few positives social media brought us is the ability for people to communicate outside of normal channels to protest or advocate for various issues that maybe our government was not a huge fan of. And now Meta was always, Facebook was always whatever, was always owned by Zuckerberg. But now Twitter's been taken over by Elon Musk, and now TikTok has been banned. It's like, I see what y'all are doing.
I see what you guys are doing. You're trying to control the information. And it's very upsetting. Because not because, oh, well, with me, TikTok is going away, but because of what this means and access to information and people's livelihoods. As you just listened to the fire portion of the show, you heard DJ rail off a bunch of different ways you guys could support. And same with me. How did we get that information? Because of social media. It's the only way that we were able to get it and push it out. It's the only way that I was able to collect funds. It is, for all the bad things social media does, there are some good things about it. And what you don't want is the same person having a monopoly on all of your social media and what information and access you have.
What would make it easier for us is, instead of a TikTok ban, maybe some regulations on what data social media across the board, every social media platform can collect. You know what would make it less scared of TikTok is maybe if there was some regulation. Great, you can have your app in our country. Here's some data you cannot collect about your users. You just can't. Oh, wouldn't that be interesting? And then,
but then you would have to apply that to Meta, and they don't want to fucking do that.
Exactly. But wouldn't that be nice? Anyway, so I'm glad I did that one first, because now something a little bit more fun in the news portion. We got a trailer for Daredevil Born Again. Roxy, did you see this before I sent it to you?
No.
Did you see it after I sent it to you?
Yes,
Hell yeah,
yes.
hell yeah. What did you think of the
I
trailer?
knew it happened before because Real Rejects put out a trailer reaction, but as you know, I avoid trailers unless we're talking about
Yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah.
And then I go to watch them. So you sent that we were talking about it, so I watched it. I thought this trailer was badass.
Yeah.
I was stoked by it. I don't know how the rest of the internet's feeling because I didn't go on to look, but I was like, damn, this is what I was kind of hoping for energy wise and what I was nervous that we weren't going to get. And again, it's just a trailer, so what do I know? But especially like that Punisher moment,
Mhm.
I just thought this looked amazing.
Yeah. I am excited for the show. I really wanted to be good because I'm excited for Charlie Cox's Daredevil to be officially part of the MCU. The trailer didn't wow me, but the flip side of what you said, again, it's just a trailer, so who knows? I thought maybe it leaned a little bit too into like, look, this is going to be violent. It's like, yeah, that's fine. That doesn't sell it for me. What makes me feel optimistic, and is that something I feel like they understand, is that the trailer is based around Matt and Wilson Fisk meeting in a diner. So Vincent D'Onofrio and Charlie Cox, and understanding like, yeah, that's the core of our show. By the way, that's the bread and butter. That's what the kids are signing up for, is the dynamic between these two. And it's like, okay, so you guys understand that. All right. Okay.
What did
All
he
right.
say? He's like, I missed you or something. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, he says, I love it, man. He says, Wilson Fisk says like, it's not entirely unpleasant to see you again. And I, dude, Roxy, I'm a sucker for that shit. I'm a sucker
me
for that.
too,
We're
me too.
enemies, but also we've been enemies so long that there's kind of a comfort in that. It's like, I'm a sucker for that shit.
Yeah, totally. I agree, and especially coming from him and not coming from Matt. It's like, of course, that's what an evil person like. They
Yeah.
want that. They love that. They thrive off of it. So, yeah. What is the reception? Yeah, because I haven't seen it, DJ. What are people online saying?
Well, I'm not on X, the Everything app, as much anymore. Sal and I talked about it a little bit. I think generally positive, but I don't know. This is one of those things. I don't know. Is it positive because the trailer is good, or just because of the goodwill that Daredevil has earned from the Netflix show? You know what I mean? And just the excitement that I have too. That it's like, cool, it's official. Like, we're in it now, guys. Like, this is. I am hoping.
Grace and Mike Leonard, did you guys like the trailer? People in the chat,
let us know. Let us know. I am. We know John Bernthal's returning as Frank Castle. We see him in the trailer as well. But I am, and I do think they need to spend less money on these shows. But I was like, can you give me one little, like a Sam Wilson or like a Bucky? Can you give me one?
I think they will. I think that they will. Not in the trailer, but not in this trailer, but maybe in a closer trailer, because this is coming out in March. So I think we probably have some more footage that we will see before then.
We have a Captain America and Brave New World coming out before that. So
no. I'm saying I think we have more footage.
No, I know, but I'm saying, to your point, we've got time. We got time for another trailer.
Yeah.
We got a whole. We could have a post-credit scene with Daredevil, and I'm worried that he's not going to show up in any of the 2 Avengers movies we're doing, and I want to see Matt Murdock hang out with characters he wasn't allowed to hang out with before.
Do you think that there is a world in which She-Hulk is in this?
No, unfortunately. If I were king of the world, give me an episode, because
give me a little run-in at a coffee shop.
Yeah, we're getting like this. There's an insane. We're getting like 24 episodes of this split into 2 seasons, right? Like, this is like, we're getting like a lot of episodes. Let me see if I can bring it up. But we're getting a lot, and so I'm like, one of them can be a She-Hulk episode. Like, come on, man. Like, and you can support that tone. I want. I think these shows should allow themselves a little bit more flexibility in tone that we saw in like the Arrowverse, because like Arrow was by and large a pretty gritty show, but they'd have their fun little romps. Let's see, how many episodes are we supposed to be getting? Well, okay, 18 episodes. 18. Wait, I'm so sorry. Born Again was announced in July with a planned 18 episode first season.
Wow.
No, that got split into 2. No fucking way. They were going to do 18 episodes.
I don't think that is the best fit for the show.
Yeah, no way. There's no way. I'm sure they filmed 18 episodes. They filmed 18. There's no way they're releasing them all at once. Okay, all right.
While you're looking for that, shout out to you guys in the chat right now. Leonard said the trailer was awesome. Mike said showing She-Hulk would piss off the incels. It's so funny because She-Hulk was the favorite episode of She-Hulk from them was the Daredevil episode, but their least favorite episode of Daredevil would definitely be the She-Hulk episode. Grayson says, I only watched the first bit of them in the diner because I also don't like a trailer revealing too much. And Leonard said he thinks that it shrunk to 13 episodes.
We'll see. The first season is definitely not going to be 18 episodes, and we know they're doing 2. They're committed to 2 seasons. So we'll see. But I don't think this reveals too much. I am excited for it, mostly again.
Do we know how it's dropping, DJ? Do we know if it's like a couple episodes and then weekly, or?
I would imagine it's that. I don't know that they've said that, but I think
I would much prefer that than when it was on Netflix and I had to stay up all night.
Agreed. Let's see if
Remember
it tells
when we
me.
used to cover this?
Yep.
Whoa.
I remember I think it was the first season of Daredevil. That was the first time at OSA we streamed the whole thing. Okay, according to this, yeah, it's 9 episodes. They're not saying, just the first episode is listed for March 4th, which leads me to believe it's a weekly release. But we were going to watch the whole thing, and that was right after I had my appendectomy. And my wound started leaking partway through the stream, so I had to take care of that. So fun times. Fun times.
Oy vey.
Oy vey. 2 other bits of news before we get into our main topic. First off, R.I.P. David Lynch. I don't normally talk about actors that passed, especially if he was, I believe, 78. Older actors or famous people, directors that had good long runs. Normally it's like, well, if I had that career and I lived to 78, 80 plus, I was like, good, high five me. David Lynch means a lot to me, so I'm not, and maybe I got a lot going on, so maybe that hit me pretty hard. I was like, that's tough. That's a tough one for me. So everybody go home and watch a David Lynch movie. I dare you. And
it's so interesting to see how many people, because same with me, DJ, and almost everybody that we know, everybody in this industry has a David Lynch movie that like really affected, that changed, that whatever it is.
Yeah.
Man, what a bummer that is. It's always a thought for me. Like, do you remember when I think it was Farrah Fawcett died on the same day as Michael Jackson or something?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh my God. There was a couple other people who died the same day as David Lynch, and I was I think somebody who was really important to baseball, maybe.
Yeah.
And I was just like, but it's David Lynch.
It's David Lynch's day. Sorry, everybody else. It's over in this house. It's David Lynch's day.
Yeah.
Big fan of Blue Velvet. Also, big fan of Wild at Heart. If anybody wants to check those out. And there's also I have mixed feelings on Lost Highway overall, but there is one scene in Lost Highway that just fucking sits with me. Anyway, the other, on a more positive note, the pre-launch page for my new comic over on Kickstarter, Danger Boy and the Antagonists, is live now. If you go to dangerboycomic.com, you can go sign up for the pre-launch page. That will let you know the second the campaign drops. And of course, in the first couple days, there will be discounted tiers. There will be special rewards, stuff like that. So you're not going to want to miss it. I'm incredibly... it was weird to start posting about it this week with everything going on. And I'll be honest with Roxy and everybody at home. I was like, should I push a week? And then I saw Trump's inaugurations next week, and I'm like, okay, so it's at some point you just got to shit or get off the pot. So I decided to post about it. And I'm really excited for this book. I'm working with illustrator Sean Peacock and letterer Taylor Esposito. They're doing incredible work. I'm getting pages almost daily from Sean, and it's just fantastic stuff. If you go to dangerboy.com, it gives you a full rundown on the comic. But basically, this is my first time writing a superhero comic that takes place in a brand new universe that tries to take the ethos Marvel used to have, which back in the day was like, we're telling stories set in the world outside your window, and evolve that to the world we live in now. Try and evolve the superhero genre. We live in a golden age of superhero deconstructions with like The Boys and Watchmen, and this is kind of a superhero reconstruction, kind of reevaluating what a superhero could mean in the modern world, all while telling a kick-ass cyberpunk thrill ride. pulling from a lot of different influences, including Blade Runner and Super Sentai and stuff like that. So if you want to know more about that, go to dangerboycomic.com. Please, please, please sign up for that pre-launch page. The campaign will be launching soon enough. So
I didn't know you were doing this.
Yeah. I've been working on this for a long time, and originally I pitched it to publishers, and you'll be surprised that they weren't a huge fan of my anti-establishment cyberpunk comic. That was so weird, so weird. So I'm excited, but I was so proud of it. It was one of those and especially I'm working on the script for the back. The back 20 pages. It's a 44-page comic. I think it's some of the best stuff I've ever written.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's one of those that I think people will really respond to this, even if the publishers aren't excited to get it out there. I think people will really, really respond to it.
Probably they'll respond to it, especially because the publishers are.
Well, and that's the kind of the tricky thing is that there's a rich history of superhero comics being anti-establishment, especially for a long time it being kind of like a more marginalized medium. Like Superman started out throwing corrupt landlords, going back to a previous conversation, throwing corrupt landlords off of buildings. Marvel Comics originally pulled a lot from counterculture, and of course now those two publishers in particular, but all of them are like owned by big mega corporations, and so that instinct was still baked into their DNA, but there's only so far. Like there's a big reboot of Batman right now called Absolute Batman, but there's only so far that you can push those stories, and some of them are really great, but it's just I spent a long time not doing superhero stuff because it's like, what do I say? How do I add to it? And over the past few years, I kind of saw a niche that I didn't think superhero stories were really tackling. Even something like The Boys, which I like a lot, the show The Boys, the group of superhero fighter, the superheroes are the villains and we're following these guys, but even them work for the CIA. You know what I mean? They're part of the infrastructure. And so I was like, I just thought, I just saw I would like a story like this told from an everyman perspective of tackling a lot of the issues that we're dealing with now, but also doing it in a way that is like cool and kick-ass and fun. So yeah, dangerboycomic.com. Check it out. More to come. Stay tuned for that. And now into our main topic today. We'll keep it tight, gang. We've been talking about a lot of stuff, but we'll keep it tight. Last week on the news, we were talking about how Mr. Jason Momoa has been recast from Aquaman to Lobo in the DC universe. And I wanted to specifically speak with Roxy about who else from the previous iteration of the DCEU could return in this new iteration, James Gunn's iteration of the DC universe. And I don't know about you, Roxy, did anybody in particular... I think I landed on my brain initially jumped to Henry Cavill. Like, what could we give Henry Cavill? And I don't know that I have a good answer. It was just he was the first one.
He's the hardest one. He's the hardest one because of what he looks like.
Yeah, I mean, he looks like Superman.
Yeah, so I think he's the hardest one. But of course, I get your brain jumping there because it seems like he was, wanted to still stay. The person that
go.
The person that I jumped to first, which is probably going to be surprising to some people, but is Sasha Kaye, because I feel like she got so screwed.
The super family got the most screwed. What can we do for them? What can we give them?
Immediately, I was like, she'd be so good and so many different roles. I mean, we could give her so many different roles, and it wouldn't cause that many big waves, I don't think, because I don't think people really remember her being in the DC.
No, I agree. So
I'm just like, man, I don't know. Make her Barbara Gordon. Make her just put her in somewhere. Make her a Black Canary.
So what we could do. I don't know that it. Because I don't remember where Sasha Kaye specifically is from, so I don't know it completely lines up. But if we're doing,
she's Latina, but I don't know either. I can look.
Yeah, I don't know where specifically she's from. But we could do, since we're doing multiple Green Lanterns, she could possibly be a pretty good Jessica Cruz Green Lantern.
She's Colombian.
Yeah, I don't know where Jessica Cruz is supposed to be from. She is also Latina, so I don't want to I don't want to be like, oh, it doesn't matter. It does, but she could be a good Jessica Cruz maybe. I'm trying to think who else. Barbara Gordon, that's a good one. Well, let me throw this out there, Roxy. Is this blasphemous? As of this recording, Robert Pattinson is not the Batman of the DCU. However, I will cite a Matt Reeves interview. And Matt Reeves seemed to be the holdout on this. There was a recent interview with him. He's like, well, we'll see if it makes sense story-wise. It's like, oh, all right, so that dam's starting to break a little bit. But let's assume, for the sake of argument, that the Batman, our Pat's the Batman, is in a different universe. Okay. Is it blasphemous to cast Henry Cavill as the new Batman? Is that...
He's just so not who I would want.
Have we talked about who would you, if it's not our Pats, do we know, I'm sure we have, and right now it's just out of my brain who.
Yeah, no, but I don't know. I haven't Dreamcast in a while. I think we did a whole episode on who we wanted to play Batman.
And I don't remember any of our picks.
Yeah, I know. I'm not sure at this exact moment.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I think that also it would be cool to pull in some of our TV people. Like we did have that Grant Gustin, Ezra Miller brief crossover, which made us think that they're in the same different universes with the same timeline and something. I think it'd be really cool. Like there's other people who got totally screwed. Like, we heard Candace Patton over and over talk about how Iris had nothing to do.
Yeah.
And I thought she was a great Iris.
Yeah.
So things like that.
Yeah. Is there any redemption? This is kind of a tangent. Is there any redemption for Ezra Miller? Because I feel like they did not get famous enough to overcome the inertia against them. But I also will say, sorry, gang, this is going to be a weird episode. I don't mean to keep touching on this stuff, but Roxy, we talked about the sly of it all, and Mel Gibson and everything. I do think we're entering an era where a lot of people in Hollywood that espouse more progressive views are going to backpedal on that shit. And it'll be disappointing. So I'm not going to say it is impossible for Ezra Miller to get a comeback. It just feels like the timing of the stuff that happened with them and the fact that they weren't the most famous person in the world. Mm-hmm. Like they're not Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt's doing fine. Is there a comeback arc for Ezra Miller? Like James Franco's still off the map. That's surprising.
Do you specifically mean in the DCEU?
No, I just in general, because I guess also the DCU, but I would think that would require a certain amount of general rehabilitation to come back to the DCU.
I think it'd be really, truly bizarre. You guys cut everybody, but Ezra's the one you want to bring back. I think that would be so strange. And I'm a never say never. Let's see. I don't know where the trials fully ended up. He's not on the top of my list of people I would love to see on the screen anytime soon. I haven't heard any has done all these things to change their ways. So
I feel like they did have a little bit of a missed opportunity in that cast a Wally in your Flash movie, have Ezra's version of Barry die in the Flash movie, resetting the universe, and now we're just with that Wally. That's our Wally now. Bye Barry. No more Barry. Barry got 9 seasons of a TV show and a movie that tanked. We're good with Barry. We're all full up on Barry.
What was your answer, DJ, to if you had to Dreamcast Batman right now?
That's the thing. I don't even remember. No, I think I cheated. I think I was like, I'd make Robert Pattinson's Batman. This is a hill I've been dying on for a while. I would make and Sal and I talked about, I guessed on his show and we talked about it for a minute, so I don't necessarily need to rehash the whole thing. But you already have a Batman movie that is well liked, that had a Penguin spinoff show that's well liked, and you're gonna hire the guy that made the Flash movie that tanked make a new Batman movie to compete, and people are gonna have RPATs in their brain while they're watching the new Batman movie. I just don't think it's gonna work. It's like just make Robert Pattinson your Batman and call it a day.
I go back and forth on it all the time on whether or not. I'm looking at a list right now of people that they want, and Henry Cavill, interestingly enough, was on here. Regé-Jean Page is somebody I think would be really great as a Bruce Wayne. I'm curious as a Batman.
Yeah.
But then it's like everybody always does the biggest names possible. They're like Jake Gyllenhaal, Brad Pitt, and it's like,
No, that's not
what?
happening. Why would you?
Like,
Don't bother with that. Come on.
I think Jake Gyllenhaal is the best actor of our generation, but
Yeah.
why are we doing that?
I think also like Jake Gyllenhaal 5 to 10 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. They put Josh Hart in it as well. Logan Marshall Green was in it. Was on a lot of people's lists, and I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Was it Cosmo Jarvis from
Yeah,
Shogun?
yeah,
Well, let's give him something. Let's give him something to do.
for sure. But in terms of recasting, another person who came to mind of people who got screwed, who I am curious if they would ever, is Ray Fisher.
Yeah. He'd be
Um,
good. I don't know that he would ever. He seems to have thoroughly. I mean, it's new management now, but he seemed to have thoroughly burned that bridge.
yeah, I think so too.
Not saying it was the wrong decision. I just
Okay, but say you are recasting Ray Fisher, where are you putting him?
Where am I putting Ray Fisher? We have so we have some stuff in the Discord. This might help our conversation, Roxy. We have some recommendations, and somebody mentioned Ray Fisher. Okay, so Clementine said, "I think they would be fools to not keep Margot Robbie as Harley." You and I can
Yeah.
revisit that in a second. If they could get Ray Fisher back, he would make a great icon, or Steel, or even Val Zod's Superman. I think he could carry that kind of presence and gravitas. I tend to agree with that. Icon would be cool. I don't know if they're letting the milestone characters play with the mainstream DC characters, but he would also be a good, depending on how you're interpreting the character, a good version of Martian Manhunter, I think. Because I do think he's kind of got that presence. Here's some other ones they recommended. Jake Hefner said, if James Gunn ever does Crime Syndicate, Henry Cavill can come back as Ultraman. Could be a fun way to satiate the Snyder fans. Jack Kidd said, probably my favorite of these, said, I would take Chris Pine as Ted Kord Blue Beetle. And Jack Kidd, way to find a way to make everybody give a shit about Ted Kord. That would be great. Mike Joy said, would you want to see Michael Shannon as Zod again? I thought he was perfect as, for Zod and would want to see him return as Zod for another supervillain.
I'm more into like what they're doing with Momoa, where if we're going to recast anybody, we're recasting them.
Yeah, we're starting from scratch. I agree with that. Also, Roxy and I had different feelings on the Flash movie. Pretty much anybody in the Flash movie other than Sasha Calle, I'm good. I don't need Michael Shannon's Zod back.
It's just Sasha. I feel so bad for her.
I agree.
I mean, I don't feel too bad. She's a star, but like,
Yeah,
it's just that there was so much opportunity, and I'm sure like when you book something like that, you're like, this is life changing.
Yes.
Or what about who the fuck did play Iris?
Yeah, she was from she was brought on because the director of Dope, and she was in Dope, and then Kiersey Clemons, I think, is the actress's name.
Kiersey Clemons.
Yeah,
for sure. Let's cast her.
It makes me. This is kind of off what we're talking about, but it makes me think of that.
It was years. That was years. Or what about Batgirl? Listen, these are the people.
That's Leslie. Dude, just bring her back as Batgirl. Be like, you're just our Barbara Gordon. We're just gonna move forward with that.
Yeah. Totally.
It makes me think of, when you talk about that, it makes me think of the kid they cast for Aladdin and the live action Aladdin. It's like, oh, here we go. I'm
Mina
Aladdin.
Massoud, yeah. When I interviewed Mina Massoud, it was like thinking that this was going to be the life change. We haven't seen them.
I know. Austin A says Lawrence Fishburne I could see coming back for something, especially a voice role. Agree with that. And then Leonard Kim, who's also in the chat, hello, said, I think Jason Momoa was the only one, and the rest are going to stay in the old DCEU. So let's talk about that for a second. I think there's two parts there. Let's start with this one. Let's start with, do you think because we know the Suicide Squad is canon. Mm-hmm. Are we recasting Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn?
Man, it's so weird because of James Gunn's personal connection, and we know that he just likes to work with people he likes to work with.
Yes.
But also Margot has a massive production company,
mm-hmm.
and Margot is turning out unbelievable films.
Yeah.
And Margot has a lot of things, and Margot did get the opportunity to play Harley several times.
Yes.
So I really don't know. It would be cool if we I don't know, made her Poison Ivy or something. Like there would be cool things to do, but I won't be upset if he keeps her as Harley, because I do think there can be like a breaking of the fourth wall, like, and she could have some kind of line like, I jumped over. Like, what? I don't know.
I also wonder that my only issue, Margot Robbie is fantastic generally, and also specifically as Harley Quinn. My only issue is that kind of box you in with your Joker options. Like Barry Keoghan, as much as I was like, yeah, keep our Pats as Batman. You're not going to have Barry Keoghan's Joker to Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn. That doesn't feel right. And I will say, if you recast, that's not what we're doing, but if we're recasting Harley Quinn, Mikey Madison from Honora would probably do a pretty bang up job.
She would. This is my hot take on Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
Hot take.
Yeah.
I think that almost any talented actress could play her.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
It is not one of those roles like there's just a small sliver of, there's so many directions you can go in with her.
Yeah.
And like, throw a dart in Hollywood and you could find somebody who could crush this role. Do I think Margot Robbie's Harley was unbelievable? Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. But do I think that Mikey Madison would do an unbelievable job? Yes, I do. Do I think a lot of no names would probably crush? Yeah, I really do. Like, it's a fun role.
Yeah.
But I don't think that it is the world's hardest role to cast.
Do you feel the same way about Joker?
No, I don't feel the same way about
What do you
Joker.
think the difference is there? Because I agree with you, but I don't know that I can articulate why I feel like they're different, other than maybe at this point, cultural expectation.
Yeah, I think it's partially that. Also, there's so many iterations of Joker that's been done and not as many iterations of Harley that's been done.
That's true.
There's just still so much more room to play.
Yeah.
Like, we haven't really tapped into that. Like, I mean, they did a little bit, but like Doctor Quinn's,
Yeah, we really haven't. You're right.
There's just a lot of different ways we could still go. When I think about Joker, I can't really think of like, what haven't we tapped into?
Yeah. You know what I just thought of? Sorry. I'm just going to, because Roxy and I both had weeks, so we didn't have like a chance to come in with like a list of like, here's what we're doing. Yeah. But just thinking about it now, Idris Elba, I think obviously fantastic as what is it, Bloodsport? I can't remember his character's name. He would do amazing as Deathstroke. He would be an amazing
he'd be
Deathstroke.
Awesome. And I feel like when he was initially cast, there was conversations about like,
Well, there was originally the conversation, is he replacing Will Smith as Deadshot? And as much as I like Will Smith, Idris Elba would be a better Deadshot.
But he would be an amazing Deathstroke. Yeah, that is accurate.
If we were going to do that. But again, he's the Suicide Squad. So technically, as far as I am concerned, because even, Roxy, did you keep up with Creature Commandos?
Yes.
So in the final episode, King Shark comes back. And so it's like, it's the Suicide Squad is, as far as we know, is canon. So.
Yeah. Who was I just thinking about who we could recast? I had a good one, but it's gone, DJ.
Hopefully it comes back. When I asked you about Leonard Kim's assertion that Jason Momoa will be the only one, what do you think the odds are any of the rest of these people being recast?
Like as different characters, because
yes.
we know he's not the only one. We know Amanda Waller. We know there's
but like is the only one. You're correct. That's a good point. John Cena's coming back as Peacemaker. Yeah. As far as like the ones that we basically the Justice League characters, are any of them? Do you see any of them coming back in a different role?
I don't think any of them have worked with James Gunn before. Correct?
No.
That seems to be what he prioritizes. Not that Momoa has, but. Yeah. That was like for the fans, I feel. I don't think that. Okay, keep him up here for a second.
Yeah.
I think James Gunn wants nothing to do with Ezra Miller.
Yeah.
I think Ray Fisher wants nothing to do with Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers wants nothing to do with Ray Fisher.
Yeah.
I think Gal Gadot is tough right now because while she has absolutely not been canceled, there have been a lot of people who are not into her anymore the way that they once were when Wonder Woman came out.
Yeah.
And the stink of the second Wonder Woman movie. Mm-hmm. And we really haven't seen her do a ton since.
Yeah, and the stuff she's done, like Red Notice, hasn't exactly set the world on fire. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that. While I think we still have to give credit where credit is due, she was an absolutely unbelievable Wonder Woman.
The first Wonder Woman is still is not just one of the best DCU movies. It's one of the best superhero movies, in my opinion.
And she is a great Wonder Woman,
Yeah.
period. So that, and I agree, I love the first Wonder Woman movie. Ben Affleck, I think, has like quite literally after Sad Flick, no interest in doing this.
Yeah, I'm shocked he was back, and I'm shocked that they keep bringing him back because he seemed to be done with it with Batman during the press of Batman v Superman.
Right. So I think it's just not what he's wanting to do, and I think that the way that I could see him coming back is honestly as a director.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I just wiped out everybody on here other than
and maybe that's why my brain went to Henry Cavill. Henry, like he was kind of screwed over, but he also seems like a pretty forgiving dude. I don't know. He seems like a good dude. I
think Henry would want to be with Warner Brothers again. I think Warner Brothers would want to be with Henry again. I just think that he is the hardest of them to cast because of what he looks like.
Yeah, he looks like fucking Superman. You could cast him. Fucking
Superman.
You could cast him as some god. Like in a Wonder Woman movie, maybe.
But would he want to do that?
That's what. Okay, here's what I want. I think Henry Cavill has found a niche. Although I did like there was that brief blip at the end of Black Adam where he's like, "What if I played Smiley Superman with a spit curl?" I'm like, "You'd be good at that." And then they're like, "Nope, never mind." But I like him in The Witcher. I like him when he's more gritty. Cast him as somebody fun. Cast him as somebody kooky. Let's see that side of Henry Cavill.
I just don't know that you want to go from playing Superman to somebody
that's not Superman. Yeah, you're right. At
this point, maybe in 20 years.
And I think it's too soon for this, but like I don't know that we have a Jor-El. I don't know that we have you could be Superman's dad. You could be the other in the comments. Leonard Kim says, bring back Matt Ryan as Constantine. That would be cool. Can I tell you, I don't think I've ever said this on air. Can I tell you my pick for Constantine?
Yes, you can. And I'm trying to think if you've ever said it. I can't think of it.
Charlie Hunnam. I think Charlie Hunnam, who is probably most famous for Sons of Anarchy, but he was also in Pacific Rim. He was also in this movie that not enough people saw, Lost City of Zed. That's fucking phenomenal. Robert Pattinson is in it too. He was also in The Gentleman, not the Netflix show, but the movie the show's based off of. But
Sons of Anarchy, man.
Yeah, I know. And so most people probably associate him as an American, but he is a British actor, and I think he would fucking and people like to fan cast him as Oliver Queen because he's got a beard. No. Have him shave that beard.
Great.
Yeah.
As Aquaman also, he would be great, I think.
Yeah.
And as Arrow, but I definitely hear you. You did just mention though The Gentleman, and it did remind me that I have always thought for the last several years that Theo James would make a great Batman.
Theo James, he was
the star of the TV show The Gentleman.
Yeah, wasn't he, not to be crass, but isn't he big PP guy in White Lotus? Wasn't he? Wasn't he the guy in White Lotus that?
Yes. And he also comes over from the Divergent series, which I don't know if you ever saw.
No.
But yes, he is the guy in White Lotus.
Yeah.
I think he would be such a great Bruce Wayne Batman combo.
Let's do it, man.
That would probably be my pick.
You know who might be interesting, and I think what makes me think this is probably going to be the reason why he's not this. Oh, he's a little older, which is funny. He doesn't look it. Hamish Linklater does the voice of Batman in the new Caped Crusader show.
Yeah, I watched the first couple episodes of that.
Yeah, and he's clearly doing Kevin Conroy, like he's evoking Kevin Conroy. But that's not the worst instinct. I don't hate that instinct.
I just found my dream casting DJ from our previous episode that we did this.
Okay.
I just looked in my notepad and I found who I'd cast in all of these roles.
Who was it?
Theo James. So there we go.
There you go. It's consistency.
Jonathan Bailey, which is interesting because now the Wicked of it all.
Oh yeah. Jonathan Bailey is who? Batman?
These were the three that I put as Batman at the time. Okay. Now I don't see Jonathan Bailey there, but at the time I did. And Darren Barnett, who is the guy from Never Have I Ever, who if we were going younger, I thought he would have been great.
Yeah.
But this is interesting. When is this from? It's
from like just a year ago, maybe. Oh, was it 2 years?
January 13th, 2023.
Because I think we did that when James Gunn was announced. Has it been 2 years?
My Superman, I put as Henry Golding.
Yeah, great. Yes.
And Austin Butler.
Uh-huh.
That's interesting. Now it's like their careers have just completely changed
Yeah.
in what it is. For Wonder Woman, Ana de Armas and Isa Gonzalez. Wow. Green Lantern, for Hal Jordan, I put Glenn Powell and Jeremy Allen White. These people at 2 years in time in their careers
Yeah.
so different.
Would Austin Butler be a good Batman?
Oh, Flash for Wally West, I put Jabari Banks, and I stand by this 10 toes down. That's that's Will Smith's character.
Yeah. No, that's a great choice. I like that. I think I put him. I think on that episode I put him for Cyborg. But yes.
For Cyborg, I put Regé Jean Page.
Yeah.
Oh, Aquaman, Brandon Sklenar, who's the guy from that spin-off of Yellowstone.
1926, right? 1926, 24? Yeah.
Harley Quinn, I kept Margot Robbie or Sydney Sweeney, Amanda Seyfried, Mackenzie Davis, Emma Mackley, Juno Temple. I have a whole fucking list.
Yeah, because you made the argument then that to your point, all of them would do great. They would,
one of them. Throw a dart.
Yeah.
Wow, that's just so interesting to see. That was today's the 17th. So this was the 13th. So a little more than 2 years ago.
Oh my God.
And I don't agree with all my picks anymore.
Yeah. Do we do it again? Let's do it again. It's been time. We can do it again. Well, listen, gang, let us know in the comments who you would pick as who you think that's what we're talking about. Gosh dang it. If somebody else like Jason Momoa was to come back in a new role in the DCEU, who would it be? What role would they be playing? Let us know in the comments down below. Like, subscribe, all that jazz. Again, if you want to help support with the LA Fires, there's plenty of resources, but the ones I'm going to throw out there are supportlafd.org, thesidewalkproject.org. If you want to look up Aetna Street Solidarity, that's AETNA. Check all that out. Roxy, where can the kids find you?
You can find me everywhere at Roxy Stryer. And if you're looking to get supplies to people on the ground, I put my Venmo on my social, but I'm doing drops every day, every other day. Yeah. It's my Venmo's at Roxy-Stryer. I'm also posting all the receipts. Not that you guys would think anything other than that, but just so you guys know, transparency about where all the money is going.
Absolutely.
Which is to obviously the people who have been displaced and to the firefighters. Yeah,
so support there and support if you can. Also, you can find me at DJ Talks Trash. I just did an episode of Krypton Academy with Sal over on my personal channel. You can check that out on the Patreon. If you're watching this live right now on the Patreon, next Wednesday at 10 a.m., Adam and I are going to be doing a watch along for, I think it's the 1980 film Prom Night. This is my trying dipping my toe back into doing some reaction videos and watch alongs and stuff like that. We'll see how that goes. And if you can, please go give a look-see to my Patreon, the pre-launch page to dangerboycomic.com. More on that coming soon. Boop, there it is. There's the URL. And we will see you all next time. Bye, everybody.